Mission podcast. Pakistan are out of the Champions Trophy. It's a bit of a random episode from us. Me and Carpe are sat here today, depressed but not surprised. The fact that Pakistan are officially out of the Champions Trophy, thanks to New Zealand beating Bangladesh. And I just want to start by saying disappointed, not surprised. Many thoughts will follow afterwards. And yeah, I can't think straight right now. I ain't even speaking proper English. I'm gonna hand it over to Carpe.
Oh, the PPCT, Pakistani Fleet cricket team, they're out of the Champions Trophy 5 days into the tournament. Not even that, in their own backyard, they're out of the first time I believe we've hosted it in 30 years, and we're out within 5 days. So embarrassing. But as Hazza said, we're disappointed, but we're not surprised. I mean, we tried to film like a Champions Trophy preview episode that we were unable to get out. And as whatever we said in the preview about how Pakistan's tournament is going to go has played out exactly like that. So there's not much we can say. It's just like, what can you say? These guys have no shame whatsoever. So why should we care?
And I think a lot of the shame kind of starts with the fact that fundamentally Pakistan are not a good cricket team at all. Everyone can talk about the whole we're unpredictable, it's in our culture, it's in our nature. You're predictably
That's the problem.
terrible. You're predictably terrible, right? You don't deserve to sit in the upper echelons of New Zealand, India, Australia. I'm never going to put England there, because they've been recently shit as well. Like those are the top three countries right now in cricket, and South Africa are probably coming close to that as well. Um, and a lot of my disappointment really stems from the fact that, um, we're not a bad cricketing country in terms of being able to produce talent with the bat or with the ball. Well, with the bat, it's very questionable, but we can still produce some. We can produce some, at least someone that can hold a bat and swing for the hills if needed. Um, and with the ball, we've always found random gems anywhere. Like for example, Harris Rauf in tape ball tournaments, Mohammed Abbas working in a factory. But oh my god, some of the places that they dig some of these players up from is insane. Fundamentally, Pakistan are not a good cricket team, and I don't know where to start. Carpet, where
You
do
know
you want
what?
to start?
Do you know what it is, Hazza? Can't even say we're not talented. Pakistan produce so much talent. There's so much raw talent in Pakistan, but it's the mentality. The players don't have the mentality. The coaches don't have the mentality. I don't. It's just a fundamental problem, and it's been like that for a while now. We've had the last, I think, 2021 and 2022. We had good tournaments, and it's like papered over the cracks. But there's some serious problems with this team, and it all starts from the mentality. Last from 2023 to 2024 to now 2025,
Mhm.
it's been the exact problem. Backwards cricket. Such backwards cricket in ODIs and T20s. You can't play backwards cricket anymore. These lot accumulate so many dot balls, and by the time that the run rate like increases, they put pressure on themselves and they lose their wicket trying to play. And it's just like can't play like that anymore. And you get guys like Babar Azam hitting 60 off 90 and Rizwan hitting like 46 off 76. And people are saying, oh, he's anchored the innings. So good. No, it's not. In modern day ODI cricket, that is terrible. At the minimum, you've got to be having a run of all innings. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is going on? And why are we like accepting this mediocrity? And these guys, Babar and Rizwan, are meant to be world class batsmen and like they get talked about as being all timers and stuff. I'm sorry, they're not all timers. They've achieved nothing in this game.
Yeah, that's completely right. They've not achieved anything of note for Pakistani cricket except for except for that 156 chase. And even then, I was watching that 156 chase against India and thinking, right, if one of these guys gets out, we're in trouble because they set themselves up for failure. They had that day where they chased the total really well. But one of the things that really interested me there, Carfe, was you said that the 2021 and the 2022 tournament kind of papered over cracks per se. Um, in every single 2021 game, apart from maybe a couple of group stage games, Pakistan were chasing every single time. And chasing in the UAE in that tournament was very, it was like a 95% success rate for all the top teams. You bat second, you win the game. That was pretty much a prerequisite, and Pakistan got lucky with the toss. virtually every time. And even when Hassan Ali dropped the catch of Matthew Wade, and then Wade hit three sixes off Shaheen Afridi, I just thought Marcus Stoinis in the last over was going to take it home anyway. So that tournament certainly papered over some clocks in terms of the luck that Pakistan had. They still played really well in that tournament. I felt like that was the best that they had played, like in terms of showing aggressive cricket. Shaheen was on top of the world. Like he was better than Bumrah at that stage in one day cricket. Obviously, it's a no contest now with where Bumrah is in comparison to Shaheen. But even in 2022, Pakistan fair and square lost to the Netherlands, and that was one of the darker days for Pakistani cricket. Was it? I believe it was the Netherlands, wasn't it? In that group stage game, um,
Yeah.
they were just really, they were honestly really good in that chase, and Pakistan did not bat properly. And then Qudrat Azam, whatever that phrase is, that they managed to get through because Netherlands also decided to beat South Africa but lose to every other team, and Pakistan somehow made it to the final. And you know, they didn't bat well enough in that first innings, and England were deserved winners. Yeah.
Same problem again in that final. Babar and Rizwan played so slow in that final. I remember that game.
Oh yeah,
Came
hundred
back to
percent,
cost us.
100%. And even that semi-final against Australia, I think I remember Barber was like 37 off 35. I said I would have rather him have been 15 off six and let someone else have a bat. Those 23 runs will be made up elsewhere if people are being aggressive. But even in that final as well, you had Mohamed Harris, who showed a bit of intent. I think he got out soon, a bit sooner than I would have liked him to, but he batted really well in that game. In terms of taking the attack to the England bowlers, trying to disrupt their plans and whatnot. But England were pretty much in control of that entire game. Naseem bowled really well. I think he's the only one of very few Pakistani cricketers I have high hopes for the future. I do like Naseem Shah
Yeah.
as a cricketer. Um, but yeah, in terms of papering over
He
that,
tries at least.
yeah, exactly. He tries, and I think that's the mentality that he's grown up with as well.
Even with the bat, he's aggressive. He tries.
Yeah,
Respect him.
100%, 100%. He tries. He's not someone that backs down,
Yeah.
doesn't give up without a fight.
As you were saying, Hazard, with those tournaments in 2021 and 2022, listen, batting's always been a problem for Pakistan. We've always had
Hmm.
shit batting, yeah. But we at least then we had our bowling. We had amazing bowling to rely on. And you look at the 2023 tournament, last year's tournament, and now this tournament, our bowling, I don't know what's happened. It's non-existent. Even our bowling is shit, and now it's a real problem. We're not batting well, and we're not bowling well either. And it's just like serious questions need to be asked now. Like, what is going on?
I think there's two things for me. I think number one, are we picking the right players in the right conditions? We didn't pick an out and out all rounder. I love Agas Ali Salman. I think he's a great cricketer. Um, but he's not the kind of bowler. He's not an off spinner that's as good as Michael Bracewell, for example. He's good enough to bat in the top five for Pakistan anyway. Is Agali Salman? He's going to be one of those cricketers that are going to be misused in the next couple of years unless Pakistan take the finger up their ass, out their ass even, and actually do something. But I think one of the most disappointing things is that it's about it's horses for courses, really. You go to Dubai, and
Mm.
India only ever struggled with one player, and that was Abrar Ahmed, he's a handy little leg spinner, good little mystery spinner. India had three spinners, I think, actual world class ability: Aksar, Jadeja, and Kuldeep Yadav, and we struggled to score runs against them. And fair play to India, they bowled really well on the day. But the fact that we only took one and then we decided to take guys who basically bowl like they have sidearms at the moment. There's no bloody point. It was like batting practice for India. They only struggled against Abra, and obviously they didn't struggle against Agha and Khushtul because they're not amazing bowlers. But yeah, that's one thing. And another thing I want to point out is the workload, and it's the way that players choose to play franchise tournaments. The workload is just they choose to play wrong tournaments at the wrong time. I think Shaheen, after he came back from injury in 2022, when he hurt himself in the
Hasn't been
outfield,
the same.
he's not been the same. But he decides to go and play. He decides to then go and play in the Bangladeshi Premier League, I think, or something like that. and it was the World Cup year as well. And he wasn't good in last year's World Cup, let's be honest. And he has not been good in the Champions Trophy this year. And it's sad to say because I love what left arm quick bowling is something I'm really fond of. Like the Champions Trophy preview episode, I said that Naveen Haq was a really good left arm seamer. I'm fond of those kind of bowlers. And Shaheen not being at his best, I think, has really let Pakistan down because at least there was Ahmed, there was Junaid Khan, there was Wahab Riaz, someone that can actually lead the attack and take the game by the scruff of the neck. Pakistan don't have that kind of bowler.
Yeah, man. The thing is, as a mentioned Muhammad Armour right there, regardless of how you feel about that person, yeah, he's one of my favorite bowlers of all time. Muhammad Ahmed is a guy I trust, I can rely on to get me wickets. I don't look at that with Shaheen anymore. Like, he's just not up to scratch. These guys, let's talk about Horace Roth. That guy is so overrated. He's so overrated. I don't know how he gets rated. Yeah, okay, he picks up wickets sometimes, but he also gets smacked about the pitch for so many runs. And it's just so frustrating. Guys like Shaheen, yeah, and Roth, they're not good enough anymore. I'm sorry. And Shaheen at one point was a world beater. I don't know what's happened, injuries, whatever, blah blah blah. But I think a lot of the problem it is with these players as well is it gets to their head. They got egos. They get to the head with all of them. Babar, Shaheen. Look at Shadab Khan. It happened to Shadab Khan. Happened to Hassan Ali. These lot, they think they're some big stars now because of the PSL. They get runs or wickets in the PSL. And you got their fans making fan cams and all this stuff, and it gets to their head, and they think they're better than they actually are. Guys, you've achieved nothing in the game. I don't get all that. Look at Shaheen. He tries to tout himself as an all rounder. You're not an all rounder, mate. You're not. And then you got guys like Naseem who can actually smack and hit that are being made to come out later than you because you think you're this all rounder. Look at Shadab Khan when he burst onto the scene. We had such high hopes for him. He's going to be the next big leg spinner. Shane Warne was like giving him big props, everything. What's happened to him? No, you didn't even come to this tournament. Like, it's so frustrating, bro. And you got guys like Barber, yeah. Before this tournament, everyone was like, oh, it's the pressure of the captaincy. He wasn't captain this tournament. What did he do? Stop making excuses for these guys. They're just simply not good enough. And we need to move away from guys like Barber and Imam. Imam, how many chances has Imam al-Haq had? Why are we still bringing him to these tournaments? We need to start moving away from these guys in white ball cricket. Red ball cricket isn't a problem for Pakistan. I don't think it's a problem. But white ball cricket, there's some serious problems, man. And even guys like Muhammad Rizwan testing my patience. Like, this one I saw, this guy plays for his average. He generally plays for his average. It's like, what are you guys doing, man? It's really frustrating and it's quite depressing. I'm really concerned about the future of Pakistan cricket because I look at there's about 4 more tournaments to be played for the rest of this decade. I don't see us winning a single one or even competing for a single one.
Yeah, I can agree with that, to be honest, unless there's a radical change that he's made. Um, but that radical change, I think, takes probably around about a generation to actually achieve. And I want to point out the cricketing culture in Pakistan. And it's pretty plain to see that batting and bowling, you've got to have a skill of those at least if you're going to make it to the world stage. That's without a giving. You've got to be a good bowler or a good bat. That's a given. I know I'm stating the obvious here, but why is it that after so many years we can't work on something that everyone can work on? And you're shaking your head there right now, and I'm saying, why are we so bad at fielding? What is it? What is it? And honestly, right, it's a culture thing in that respect. People think, okay, you can just take 10 wickets with the ball, that's fine. But you got to back it up in the field as well. You spend more time in the field than you actually do with your batting and your bowling. You've got to be arguably as good, if not better, as a fielder than you are with the bat or the ball, because you actually got to have some sort of talent in there. Like the difference between, let's say, okay, India were probably not known as for being as good with their fielding maybe about 20 years ago. That now
They're
has been
solid
changed.
enough, bro.
They're very good. They're very good now. That's because they're all fit. They all have regimes, have fitness tests and whatnot, and they make sure that everyone is up to standard. Um, and then you've got Pakistan, and it's like guys are not being able to convert ones into twos and change the game and essentially, run those quick singles and be smart enough. The deeper that you go into a game, you've got to be as fit as a fiddle. Like Virat Kohli, right? People could talk about, oh, he's vegan now, whatever. I don't really give a shit. Like the thing with Virat Kohli is that he's insanely fit. He always has been. He looks after himself very, very well in comparison to a load of other cricketers. He's like the gold standard, I'd say. And he can run for days. He's super fast, and that's kind of like the standard that Pakistani players should look at. And there's not one single extremely super fit Pakistani cricketer, aside from Mohammed Abbas, like you can tip your cap up and say, you know what, he's going to do me a job today because he's just really fit. Mohammed Abbas bowled 16 overs on the spin in South Africa with the ball. That's a really hard thing to do. I know he's only bowling probably about 77, 78 right now. That's really hard to do. He's probably Pakistan's gold standard in that respect. Um, but yeah, the fielding is just really bad. Not being able to run in and stop the twos, not being able to um take those two catches, I think really do my head in like a lot because it then shifts the momentum of the game. And I hate being that person that says catches win matches,
It's
but it could
true.
have done something. It could have done something, because you convert those
It's the
chances.
golden saying for a reason, right? Catches
Yeah,
win
it is. Yeah,
matches.
it is. It is because then you think, okay, momentum then essentially switches from, okay, oh, you actually took the catch. That's brilliant. Right, how are we going to get the next guy out? It's going to be Shreyas Iyer. He hasn't been batting so much. We get him out. Then Kohli's going to feel pressure. Then all of a sudden, you don't want to get to that what if situation. If India don't give you any chances, you hold your hands up and you say, you know what, India, fair play, you beat us. And they didn't. Oh, look, they outplayed us. I ain't going to try and sugarcoat that. But if they've given chances to you on a plate from an international level and you're not taking them, then what does that say about you guys? It just says you're not good enough.
Yeah, as you're saying, the culture is completely wrong with Pakistan cricket. They're just so unprofessional. That's it's how many, but this has been the case for ages. Though it's not like it's a recent thing. It's been a problem forever. And like for example, 2019 World Cup, these players they went out to do shisha and they were grabbing Archies the night before the India game and we got battered. And then you got think Hafiz, I think Mohammed Hafiz said it recently when he was coaching us. He's like, he used to go into the dressing room and players are sleeping and like, not even paying attention, and it like really pissed him off. I agree with him. So what are you guys doing? Yeah, and look at last year, bro. Who did we take last year? Azam Khan. Have you seen that guy? He's a
No,
hippo. What he has no.
it's a T20 tournament to be fair, so you could probably get away with it. I think Pakistan
I
needed
don't.
someone. I
I
know,
don't.
I know.
Like, what did he do? What did he
I
do
know,
in that tournament?
he did shit all I know, and I'm not saying that because I'm not trying to back him because I'm wearing an Islamabad United shirt. Shout out to Mystery Cricket, but it's like the caliber of player that you want is an Azam Khan, but it's just a shame that he's triple our
You
sizes.
know, the thing with Azam Khan, Hafiz said to him, I think, or 6 months before, they came up with a proper like diet plan, training regime to that, to like get him in shape. Obviously, he's not never gonna be in amazing shape, but like to get him to match standard, right? And they're saying he just didn't follow it. So then, what can you do? Like, not take if you're not gonna take it seriously. Why should we take you guys seriously? And they don't take it seriously. These lot don't have any shame. The Pakistan cricket team have no shame. If they had any shame, they would not be putting in performances like this in their home tournament. First, how much of a big deal is it, Hazza, for the for Pakistan to be hosting a ICC tournament in how long, considering what we've been through as a nation, right? Was it 2009 when those bus attacks happened?
Yeah, it was 2009. Yeah, so that's like
Okay,
what
so
16 years
after
later.
that, nobody wanted to come to Pakistan to play with us, right?
Mm.
So for years we've been playing in the UAE, right? And I'll give the PSL credit for this. Has opened the idea of international players coming to play cricket in Pakistan. And you think, okay, cool. And then we win the 2017 Champions Trophy, and it's like, yeah, this is the launch pad now. We can like push on with this. The 2019 Cricket World Cup, we started off bad, but I don't think we played terrible. Like, we showed fight in that tournament. We got done over because India basically let England win, and we didn't qualify. But yeah, and then after that, you had the success of 2021 and 2022, and we've just gone so backwards. 2023 was an absolute disaster. 2024. I'll be real. I stopped being emotionally invested in these guys the day we lost to USA in cricket. I was like, I'm done. I'm not getting agitated over these guys anymore. How can you? That's so embarrassing. That should have been the. That's it. With these guys. That's it should have been the fire for these lot to be like, okay, we can't. We got to come back with this. But what did they do? A few days later, they went and lost to India. It was such an easy chase, and they lost to India. So after that, I can't defend these guys anymore. Like I'll watch them, but I'm not gonna emotionally invest in them because I know what they're like. I know they don't take this seriously, and not only that, yeah. There's been so much hype, yeah, about this tournament. India refusing to play in Pakistan and having their matches in Dubai and all this, yeah. If I'm a Pakistan player, if I'm a part of the team, I should be using it as motivation. Like, who do they think they are? We're going to show them, we're going to smack them about, we're going to beat them, we're going to win the tournament, and we're going to prove to the world why they're in the wrong. Do you know, bro? But it doesn't motivate these guys. It doesn't. They want to do odd based. Do you know what I mean? And no, but it's true. And then our fans will say shit like, "Oh, India are scared to come and play in Pakistan. What's there to be scared of? What exactly is there to be scared? They beat us all the time. What is there to be scared of?
It's not a
Like,
rivalry, man.
it's not a rivalry. Look, I checked this on Google today. Yeah, in ICC tournaments, Pakistan and India have played 21 times now. Yeah, including 2025 Champions Trophy. India have won 16 times. I'm sorry, we can't call it a rivalry. They always kick our ass. It's
It
facts.
feels like it feels like it's a lot more than that. Just growing up, like there's so
Yeah,
many times I can remember.
yeah, I know what you mean.
It just feels it doesn't feel like they've beat us 16 out of 21 times. It feels like a lot more because there's only like really realistically in
Mm.
my lifetime there's only um two that I can remember. There's like two I can remember, and that was like
Two
2020,
wins, yeah,
2021 and 2017. Like every other time we've just
yeah.
been getting absolutely blasted. And I'm just like, you know what, what's the point? Like I watch these guys all the time and I think, you know what, I'm gonna try and watch it from a cricketing perspective as opposed to a fan perspective. But even from that, and it's just frustrating to watch because you know that there's so much talent that could be better used. Not better used, actually better applied mentally, and they just don't seem to do that. Like you talked about, what India scared too scared to come to Pakistan. They don't care. They don't care. Like you could have played this game in 50 of the stadiums in the world, and I guarantee you, 50 times out of 50, India will win that game. It's just gonna happen because we're not good enough. Um, and granted, like I want this team to show a good fight, a good performance. Bangladesh, right, have every right to be proud of the way that their country have fighted in this Champions Trophy, despite everyone, including me, saying they've got no chance to win a game. They were like what 50 for five or something stupid like that in the India game, and they managed to bring it up to 240 or something like that with a brilliant 100 from Hridoy. I just look at the Pakistan team and I think, you know what? None of you lot are going to do that. You'll get rolled for 120 and call it a day. Bangladesh did that.
You know what? I hope they beat us when we play them. I hope they beat us.
Oh,
I don't
I'm
want us to lose.
100% on that. I'm 100% on that.
I hope they beat us.
Maybe them beating us, right, will teach us. You say that, but then the
No, it
USA have
won't.
beat us.
It won't.
You
We
won't,
lost to
because
USA
USA
once.
have beaten us, the Netherlands have beaten us, Zimbabwe have always beaten us, Ireland have always beaten us, and now it's going to be Bangladesh beating us. It's like the underdogs are taking our underdog tag and basically saying, you know what, f you, we're beating you guys at international tournaments. You don't even deserve to be part of it anymore. And I'd be like, you know what, fair enough. Fair enough. I
You
think
know what the funny thing
I
is?
would love it if they beat them. I'd love it if they beat us because it does our
Uh,
best, Ian, and I don't give a shit anymore.
I genuinely think Afghanistan cricket is going to overtake Pakistan cricket real soon. Probably is already. It's not
You know,
crazy to say. I'm sorry.
I think you know what it is. They need to have a bit more. Afghanistani cricket needs to build that pedigree up, and that will probably take another 10 plus years. In terms of having international players that they can look up as role models. Because I watched them in that South Africa game, and I think that they could have been a lot better. I think they let themselves down a lot more than South Africa actually played better. Um, South Africa are a very good team, and I've got them making the semi-finals and topping that group in a canter. Um, but I just don't think that I just don't think that Afghanistan right now feel could overtake Pakistan cricket just because right now, maybe in the next year or two, but if you give it 5 years, I could probably see Afghanistan beating Pakistan in a test series, in a one-day series, and a T20 series. And then constantly finishing them above them in ICC tournaments. That will definitely be happening in the next 5-10 years if Pakistan don't change the culture in cricket. Full stop. Um,
Yeah, and as you're saying, obviously India have come to this tournament, right? Because they can. Let's face it, India are the BCCI pretty much run the ICC, right? Whatever they say to the ICC will cater for, right? But at this point, I don't really blame them because they can get away with it. Why would they? It's up to the PCB. First of all, the PCB should have flat out refused. Said India shouldn't play in this tournament if they're not going to come and play in Pakistan. So we rolled over there. Not only that, we give them the advantage, let them playing all their games in Dubai, right? And then we've left Pakistan after losing to New Zealand. We've left Pakistan, flown all the way to Dubai, got spanked by India, and now we're flying back. And by the time these lot have landed back, Bangladesh have lost to New Zealand and they're out of the tournament. It's so embarrassing, and I don't think the shame is registering in these guys' heads. It's like, when is it going to hit them? When is it going to hit them? This is embarrassing. And it's not only that. Look at obviously with cricket, you could say, oh, it's just a sport, it's not that deep. But for our lot, it's more than just a sport. You know what I mean? People, I don't care about us lot, British Pakistanis. Like, it's minor for us. We've got so many interests, right, other than cricket, right? It's the people back home that I feel sorry for. Like, these guys idolize these players. They look up to these players. Their whole life revolves around watching cricket. Like Pakistan, they're going to do it in the international tournament, PSL, and especially kids. Like, I've got little cousins that go. They love the game, and it's just, it breaks your heart. It's like, can't you, like, and the whole political situation in Pakistan right now is a complete mess. We deserve some hope. I mean, it's just bleak. Pakistan cricket is bleak. Pakistan as a country in general is bleak right now. It's just really sad to see. It's like, I don't know what to say.
and I think a
You
lot
know what
of
I mean?
honestly, a lot of that is down to the fact that a lot of that is just down to the fact that we're just not taking ourselves seriously enough. Like, there's so many cricketers, right, in that period between 2009 and probably 2018, I'd say, in that 9 year period, who would have given anything to just play on Pakistani home soil. Um, like Azhar Ali, for example, I think he travelled for like 200 plus days with the Pakistan cricket team, and you've got guys who are currently in the team right now that aren't taking it as seriously as they should be. Wahab Riaz, Junaid Khan, in that setup, Mohammed Irfan, like all these guys in that period that we decided, oh yeah, these are terrible. Like, these are guys that never got to play on their home patches. That, like, the current generation, alhamdulillah, they're blessed. They get to play on their home patches.
Mm.
You know, that's something that I think is taken for granted in especially with the, political climate that we kind of sit in today with Pakistan cricket and everything, all the traveling there and whatnot. So they should be blessed. They ought to be more grateful for that. Um, because we never know. Like, tomorrow something could happen and everyone could stop playing in Pakistan. That's how tense political situations can be. Um, but yeah, no, I just think, like you say, shame isn't registering in their heads. But I would like to defend them just for one thing. And I think it's the fact that they lost two premier batsmen. They were really set before the tournament. I felt they had their best team. I think they had Saima Ayub and Fakhar Zaman. Both were basically injured before they could even get going in the even get going. Fakhar got injured, and he couldn't help out in the chase, but he was still doing his best to help in terms of showing intent. He wasn't trying to hold Babar Azam back. Babar Azam, ironically, was doing that to um, Tucker. And Simon Yu was a good bowling option and a very exciting one-day opener. Um, and that kind of like broke the balance a little bit in the side. And that's probably the reason why they weren't as competitive. They kind of had that married up, but you've still got the bowling that could deliver up front. And I just watched them; they were lambs to the slaughter against Gill and Rohit. It's just poor. It's really poor.
I agree with your point. With the obviously Saima you getting injured was a big blow, but at the same time, I'm not going to use it as an excuse. None of these
No, you
players
can't.
showed any fight throughout any of the games. And if they showed fight and they went out, I'd say, okay, fair enough. None of these guys show. You Babar Azam, for example, yeah. When Fucker is injured and he's coming out to bat, this guy's playing singles. The guy can't run. What are you doing? Do you know what I mean? It's just so silly. This guy, and then you got Rizwan comes in as well, and he holds it up. I don't know, man. I don't know what's
It put
going on. It's like
pressure
these
on.
guys care more about their average.
It put so much pressure on guys like Agani Salman. Like he batted really well in that first game, and then Kush still, I think he made 70 odd. I know he was doing it in in a fighting cause, going down. He went down swinging. And I respect I respect the way that he batted in the second game as well. Actually, he went again, tried to go down swinging, kind of went mindlessly. That probably separates him from a lot of other players in the world game. He was doing it mindlessly and wasn't thinking about it, but at least he still had that sort of mindset to essentially attack the Indian bowlers. Again, New Zealand and India are probably the two best attacks you're gonna get. So probably we are being slightly harsh, but you're right. I think it's about being able to show that fight and intent. Bangladesh were able to do it. They tried. They really did their best in both games. Sometimes being good enough, not being good enough is okay, but Pakistan can be better than what they are right now, and that's what's really annoying, I'd say.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. It's like if you're not going to be motivated after all the bullshit that's happening in the country politically, the antics that India are pulling, and it being in your home nation, first time in over 30 years, like what is going to motivate them, bro? I don't see what else is going to motivate them.
For a little bit of this, man, I'm telling you, a little bit of this, and there they
Yeah.
go, they're going. I'm telling you.
No, but and another thing is, yeah, with Pakistan, I think we still, for how many years now, we don't have an established opening partnership in white ball cricket.
But to fair, you say that, but then you could have had Fucker and Syme who have been doing really well. So I'm not going to really
I've
try
got
and
a
put that
question.
down.
One thing I want to say is, why didn't they bring Abdullah Shafiq with them to this tournament?
I really
I
don't
like
know.
that
Actually,
guy.
I like him. You know what it is? I actually really like him. I've been a big
I think
advocate
he
of
has the
him.
he has the temperament to be an opening batsman. Like we saw in the 2020 World Cup, he was the one highlight of that tournament. Should have brought him, man.
I
Him,
don't.
I can
Yeah,
see him. I can see him, and I think Fucker's going to retire now from ODIs or something after this. I think yeah, Abdullah Shafiq and Saim should be the opening partnership we need to experiment with for the
yeah, it would be a
next
shame to
tournament.
be honest. I think Fucker Zaman's probably like one of the more underappreciated cricketers because of the amount of pressure that he takes off. I remember in the 2022 World Cup he didn't have a great showing, but that's because Barbados and his one were pretty much taking all the highlights in terms of scoring a lot of the runs.
Mm.
But when the chips were down in that game, he's the only one that stood. He's the only one that stood up in that game. And I thought, you know what, this is a proper cricketer. Same in that 2017 tournament. He brought something different to the Pakistan team, and for the life of me, I don't know what would happen if we didn't actually play him in that 2017 Champions Trophy. Because I know for a fact, if we never played him then, I think we would have been seeing a lot of regression with this sort of regression, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I'll tell you now, like this sort of where Pakistani cricket is now, we would have seen that regression 3 or 4 years ago. It's honestly, I don't even want to think about it.
Ano-
It's like
ano- Yeah. Another thing is the middle order. Yeah, how many years has it been? We've been reshuffling the middle order, bringing in new people, trying them out. They just don't deliver. It's like there's no one in this team that I look at and I go, this person has when the chips are down, they've got a match-winning knock in them. I don't trust anyone in that team. Like
I
for
only trust
example,
I
20.
only trust Ali Salman. I've got so much rate. I've got so much rating for him, but that's just me being biased.
For example, look at 2021. I think we still had Shoaib Malik and Mohammad Hafiz, and I've been watching Pakistan recently, and it makes me just appreciate those guys so much more. Because with Hafiz and Malik, don't get me wrong, they had their occasional fuck ups too when they used to, but they have a whole history in their whole career. You can see they have match winning knocks that they played for us that have won us games and got us out of a corner, and we don't have that anymore. And I generally, how old are they now? They're in their 40s, mid 40s now. Yeah, if you were to bring them out of retirement, I reckon they do a better job than half the guys that we have playing for us.
Yeah,
Honestly speaking.
you know what it is with the Hafiz, right? There's one thing that I watch, like nostalgia sometimes takes me over. I look back at that 2017 Champions Trophy. The innings that he played there was arguably the best he's ever played. He literally took Pakistan right from maybe a 270 to 260 score to I think it was 340 in the end because he batted really well. I know I don't really want to go into like the nostalgia aspect of thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to miss Shoaib Malik, because I don't personally. But at least he's got that role of okay, oh shit, he's good against spin. Let's not bowl spin against him, or oh he's going to hit at the end. And then with Hafiz, it's like he was really fit as well. I don't know if people actually know that
Yeah, he
he was
was.
really really fit.
He was called. He was called the professor. Was he called the professor? The
The
professor,
professor
innit?
probably
But
probably not, I don't know if it was for his fitness or anything. Maybe it was his in-game management. I don't know. But it's a really good. But if you're called the professor in Pakistan and everyone's got like science degrees and whatnot over there, then you're probably half decent, in whatever it is that you're doing. Um, I don't really want to reminisce on those guys. I think
no,
reminiscing on
but
those guys.
I'm
But
just
I
I'm just
do.
making the point.
Yeah, no,
But
of course.
middle
I think it's
order,
like guys like Abdul Razak and players
there
in
you
the
go.
ilk
What a
of
player!
Shahid Afridi.
What a player!
In the ilk of Abdul Razak, Shahid Afridi, those I'm not saying we'll ever produce another Shahid
You
Afridi.
know,
But at least he was at least you looked at him and you thought, oh shit, Afridi's still got it coming because you know this guy's gonna actually like blast it. And then you look down the order and you think, oh, he's next. Yeah, we'll be fine. He's next. Yeah, don't worry about it. Nothing's gonna happen. There's
there's
no
no
fear
one
factor.
there
There's no
that
mentality in there.
there's no one in our team that inspires me. They come out the batting point. They're probably just gonna get out in 20 balls or something. I don't know, man. It's just really concerning. And like for example, I've written down some names here. Some of the mid order batsmen we've had over the years. We've had guys like Usman Khan, he's shit. Asif Ali,
I
I
like
don't know.
him.
People say give him another chance, but when we had him, he didn't really deliver. But
No, he did.
guys,
He has in finishing game situations. I remember that Afghanistan 2021 World Cup. He was
mm,
honestly, and that celebration
for
with the bat.
example,
He was like,
and you
I
got
was like,
Muhammad, yeah, you got guys like Wasim Junior, and you got Muhammad Nawaz. I don't know, just loads of
they're all
people.
bowlers though. I'd say. They're all
Brought in
bowlers.
Hushdale, Heather Ali. They brought in Heather Ali as well. Just all these guys they've tried, they're not delivering. I don't know what it is. It's a mentality problem. And for me, I want to take this topic now towards the PSL, right?
Mhm,
Like, listen, PSL entertainment wise and financial wise has been a
mhm,
huge success for Pakistan, right? It's brought eyes on the game. It's allowed cricket to be played in Pakistan again. But in terms of the national team, I don't think it's not really done anything for us. You can't translate the success of the PSL over to the national team, and that's because let's be real. Our fans love to get like, oh, PSL, PSL. It's a subpar league. It's easy to score runs there. It's easy to get wickets there. And then these guys that come in from the PSL to the national team, they think because let's be real, cricket players in Pakistan they get treated like movie stars. You know what I mean? By the general public and everything, right? And it gets to their head. They think, oh, because I've done it in the PSL, oh, this would be a walk in the park. And they come out, they come to the national team on the international stage, and they get found out. It's a completely different ball
mhm.
game, man.
I think the way that you said it, like they get treated like movie stars. I think that's like our adoring. That's how we adore players as as fans back in Pakistan. I'd say I don't really adore many players. Where I'd be like,
Nah,
oh yeah,
me
I'll treat them
neither.
like movie stars if I saw them. Like, that's just that's not like as British Pakistanis we don't really do that. I think every single person that likes cricket has a right to act that way though when it comes to players. But it's about the way that they let it get to their heads. Like you look at Australia, you look at England, and you look at India, right? They're a class of, and New Zealand. I think it's all countries except for kind of like Pakistan. Really, they kind of like they know that the fans are here and their performance is here. Adoration with the fans sits here with Pakistan cricket, and their performance is in the toilet, right? And you talk about the PSL. It's a success financially, entertainment wise. Yes, it's fine. It gives you that. But what about what about player quality though in terms of overseas players? In the IPL, you're allowed four guys, right? And those four guys are marquee players. They are not wash. They're not, I don't want to say wash. I think wash is quite a disrespectful term. But guys who are over the age of 35 that have retired from international cricket that are just using each franchise tournament as kind of like a as a money grab in the IPL, you've got the best overseas players that are playing, right? You've got Joss Butler in one team, then you'll have Jofra Archer, Kahisa Rabada, Heinrich Klaassen. Those guys are not touching the PSL. Instead, you've got players like I'm not going to say like Alex Hales, but Alex Hales in his current form now. in the sense that he's, I think, 37, 38. You've got, I think, you just don't have that sort of you don't have that top level caliber of player anymore in Pakistan in the PSL, unless they're T20 absolute specialists that have got nothing to do throughout the season, but to play PSL. Like it doesn't make the game competitive um, for the Pakistani cricketers because they don't get to learn off these world stars. And India have been doing this since 2008, and you can tell the impact that it has having those top level overseas players and the playing in those high pressure situations in 50, 60,000 capacity. So when they come to an international tournament that has 20k fans and they're in a situation in the group stage, they're like, okay, this is simple. And it also helps other players as well. Obviously, it's a shame that we've not been able to have players go into the PSL, but none of them would be eligible. Not eligible in the sense of like nationally. They're just not good enough. Unless you've got one player, no, sorry, two players, Fuckers Zaman and Simon, those are the only two players that would get into into the IPL. And I'm telling you that for free now. No one else is good enough.
I won't argue with that. I think the PSL is we overrate these guys so much. But the thing with PSL, like that's why I'm baffled when I talk about the PSL. I don't think it's really done much for the national team. I'm sorry, but I don't.
No.
But we can talk about bowlers, bro. Pakistan have always produced good bowlers, even without the PSL. We've always had sick bowlers. Do you know what I mean? Batsmen. We've got a real problem with batsmen. We're not producing batsmen. I
Yeah,
don't know what it
and I
is.
think it goes back to also like the kind of it also ironically goes back to the red ball game as well. I think before the England Test series, with Pakistan would always produce highways in Test cricket, so it'd be easier for batters to score runs, and it kind of like inflates their average. I don't know why they did that, but then when they started bringing in Bunsen burner pitches, it helped the Pakistani bowlers. There were maybe a couple of Pakistani batters that stood out, but really that those kind of pitches also paved for in the cracks over any good batters in that arena as well. But even in like the one day game, I just feel like list day cricket over in Pakistan. I don't watch too much list day cricket over in Pakistan. I don't watch as much. I don't sit there and watch 50 over cricket at all, to be honest, unless it's a major tournament. But it's a fundamental problem in most countries. It's guys that don't know how to build an innings, and then when they're in, they decide to basically play for themselves. And it kind of goes to this one thing that I saw. Um, this one thing that I saw on Twitter. It was tweeted by a guy called at Ethan OT. Um, and I don't want to slate him, but I do at the same time. Um, because it's about environment at the end of the day that kind of influences your mindset. He said he's a Barber fan. You can probably tell by this. Provide Barber with a strong team and a reliable batting order. Not going to happen. Two things are not going to happen, right? These are two things that are not going to happen. Along with management, not going to happen. They literally threw out Jason Gillespie, one of the best coaches in the world. Along with management that clearly defines his role, he just does f all. Instead of changing his position from game to game, doesn't happen. Then expect such things, i.e., winning an ICC tournament. The toxic environment and treatment he received ruined the once in a generation player. I can agree on one thing. In Pakistan, he is a once in a generation player, right? You look at this guy and you think this guy is all talent, he's all class, he oozes class. Like he can, you watch this guy hit a ball and you think, wow, I'd pay to see that, behind a paywall or whatever, because it's such a good shot. But then you actually watch this guy and you think, okay, what's this guy thinking? Is he not? He's got all this talent in the world. He's not looking to use it. What's in his head? What's in his head? And it made me think about the Fab Four. Now, a lot of people wanted to put Barber in this category, but he's nowhere near as good as Williamson, Coley, Smith, and Root. You look at the points that he said. So provide Barber with a strong team and a reliable batting order. Joe Root, right, has dealt with an unreliable order for most of his test career, and has delivered pretty much all the time. He had a one or 2 years of a lean spell, but he had enough credit in the bank. But he's always been dealt with an unreliable order. 20 for two, he's always battled out through it. Kohli, right, regardless of any situation, he'd still play match winning knocks because he knows he's that guy inside his head, and he knows he's good enough. When his team were down, I think I remember this 188 that he made against Pakistan. Um, and he just raised the bat after getting out, and Pakistan needed by the time he was out, India needed 12 from 18. Whereas if Barber was back in that situation, 135 from like 150, and Pakistan would need like 40 off 12 or something like that, and he would have got out at that point and done something like that. And then even the same with Steve Smith and Williamson. Like Smith's the biggest mentality monster out there, and Williamson's just a class above as well. I think, the truth of the matter is that if Barber needs to be facilitated by so many things when he's clearly that talented, then he's not deserving to be named as one of the best in the world. A generational talent for Pakistan, sure, because Pakistan have never seen, they haven't seen as really good a batsman as him for a long time. But there are far more mentality monsters out there with a bat that would do anything for his talent, and it boggles my mind that people try and still defend Babar Azam in this day and age because he's not good enough at the moment, and something needs to change because otherwise, we're just going to keep going on that downward spiral.
Overprotected players, I think I've ever seen. Yeah, it's just like tournament after tournament, there's a new excuse for him. I'm sorry, especially after now. If Pakistan fans are still trying to defend this guy right now, then I have no hope. I can't. I don't know what you want me to say. What is it to defend this guy? People say, "Oh, it's the pressure of the captaincy." He wasn't captain this tournament. He's done jack shit. I'm sorry, but I'm just tired. I think Babar's done. He's had his chances. We need to move away from him. Keep him. He can play Test match cricket, fine, but white ball cricket, we need to start finding new people and bringing them in now. These guys have had their chances, man. Sorry,
Yeah,
but
yeah, they
Babar
do.
Azam, he's not up there with the greats. He's proven that this tournament. When it comes to a major tournament, I don't care. You can have all the fancy stats, everything in the world, but if you can't deliver when it matters, what's the point? And all the other lot that you mentioned, Gawley, Williamson, Smith, Root, they've all delivered when it mattered. Babar Azam still hasn't done that. So I'm sorry, just can't have him in those debates.
Not at all. And you can probably name a fair few more batsmen that have maybe not as talented as Barber and don't have the stats, but have delivered on numerous occasions for their country. And I'm not going to name. Well, I can't really think of any names right now, but they would certainly come to my head after we stop recording because I'm stupid and I didn't really prepare on this topic. But there's so many other batsmen that like would have probably delivered more, and still don't have that same X factor as Barber, and they're not as revered highly. Um, I don't think there's not many match winning knocks I can count on one hand from Babar Azam, in comparison to Joe Root, where I could probably like count the amount of things in my room, and they still probably wouldn't add up to the amount of match winning, shit that he's done. Not even talking about hundreds, talking about fifties, in all formats of the game. Kohli, Smith, Williamson, like they've all done some pretty damn crazy stuff. Um, and I could tell you that now. Like Williamson, I think in that 150 chase in the 2015 World Cup, he hit a six off Mitchell Starc when he had 5 or 6 wickets fall around him like they were nothing. Now that's clutch. I can't see Barber doing that. Joe Root, just generally speaking, in home Ashes series in away tours, he just does it. He does it all the time. Smith, even when he was out for a year from Sandpaper Band, scores 200s away from home in England at Edgbaston and wins a Test match single-handedly for Australia. That, these are the kinds of players that Pakistan fans want to compare Barber to, and he's not good enough for that. He never will be. He never will be. I look at this guy and I just think he never will be good. He will never be as good as those guys. And let me
And
don't
that's
get me
another
started on Kohli. Don't get me started on Kohli because people talk about the fact that he doesn't play too many match winning knocks. He's not good in ICC pressure tournaments. Shut up, man. He's good enough. I'm telling you, Kohli's world class, and his prime surpasses so many other ODI primes. And he's at his worst. Kohli at his worst is better than Babar at his best. I don't care.
bro. Look what a supposedly washed Gawley done to us the other day. Do you know what I mean? That says it all. And another point I want to you talk about our fans. Our fans are a problem as well. We inflate these guys' egos so much, make them think that they're better than they are, and it's a problem because it gets to their head and just play shit. And we accept, we make excuses for it, and then our fans go and make excuses for it. And by the next tournament arrives, we do the same shit, and it's just the same cycle, and it's like really frustrating. It's really
No, I
annoying.
don't think fans can necessarily be the problem. I think we deserve. Well, I say we. I mean more of
Not
like a
all
general.
fans, but
As a
Pakistan
general,
fans.
no, as a general, I think we deserve to kind of like prop our players up as much as we can. I think that's what the being a fan is. We can't necessarily be a problem for their mentality. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you're highly trained cricketers who have access to the best psychologists, to the best training, etc. Words that we say shouldn't
Did you,
necessarily be
did you
it shouldn't
see?
necessarily matter, you know?
Did you see that thing today? There's a clip going around. Yeah, they're talking about the mentors that they've got at Pakistan cricket, and Hafiz is just ripping into them. And I think he's got Shoaib Malik next to him. It's like a pundit show, yeah. And I think Shoaib Malik is one of the mentors for our national team at the moment. And then like Hafiz is like staring at him like, "How long have you been there?" And he goes, "You've been there 6 months. Like, what's going on?" It's just so funny. But Hafiz is still a bit salty because he got sacked in it by the PCB. So he's taking it out on Shoaib Malik and his jokes.
I would,
But
I rather would, you know. That's
yeah,
premium saltiness, and that's the kind of
because
dog that we need.
Hafiz tried to introduce professionalism, and these men just didn't follow it. I'm guaranteed they must have gone and complained to the board about, oh,
Yeah, because
it's
it's not about making our players happy and whatnot. The difference between like I'd say culture back then and culture now is that with the players are definitely a lot more protected. Sometimes some guys just need to be exposed to constructive criticism, not abuse, but constructive criticism. Um, like you look at baseball, for example. It's so much of a good thing can only lead to you being having too much of a downfall. Like at the start of it, Basball was brilliant. It freed up the mind, but now all of a sudden it's taking a bit of a backward step. And that kind of needs to change in terms of the regime. But at the same time, it's been a good thing. Whereas Pakistan, I don't think anyone's going to really save them, to be honest. They need to change the mentality. They need to get a lot better with their fitness. In
bro,
terms of
it's the
the
players,
fielding,
it's the
it's the play.
player now. Player power. That's what it
Player
is.
power, but player power naturally in modern day cricket is always going to be a thing. But that still shouldn't, you know, ultimately in your head as a representative of Pakistan cricket, it's a dream of so many to basically say, you know what, if I could play for Pakistan tomorrow for one day, or I could earn a 30K year salary, in pounds, I'm just saying pounds, 30K year salary, or play one day in for Pakistani cricket. I'm telling you, so many guys back home would take that because that's their passion, that's what they'd love to do. These guys, they don't treat it that way, and I think that's a big indictment on Pakistani cricket and Pakistani culture. And again, that kind of that change can only that change will take a long time. Um, and it's not really an instant fix.
It's been institutionalized, isn't it?
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
be real. The PCB is corrupt. We've all known that it's been corrupt for years. Like these guys that they hire, they like pick, or it's based on nepotism as well. A lot of these guys are related to these guys that they pick, and it's just like, I don't know, man. It's disappointing. I'm not gonna lie, because after 2017 Champions Trophy, like I had high hopes for Pakistan cricket. I thought there's something here, like, especially after 2021 and 2022. We did bottle it. I'm not gonna lie. I'd say we bottled it, but at least we showed something. We got that far. We showed these guys have the talent. The squad has the ability to like go far and win. And I don't know what's happened, man. 2023 onwards, this is all gone. All hope's gone. The potential, you just don't. I don't see any potential with this team anymore.
Yeah, neither do I.
Just
And
done with it.
to be honest, kind of want to wrap it up there. I think it's just a lot of slating of Pakistani cricket. And if you're an Indian fan listening to this for probably about 54 minutes in, you must be absolutely loving it right now. You're probably sitting there with your gold guppy, listening to us two Pakistanis sit here berate Pakistan. You must be thinking, oh my God, can I get more of this content? You certainly can, because we are shit. Um, Honestly, you know what? If you want to have like uncut scenes or anything like that, pay us a subscription or something because there's a lot
But
worse that we
you
can
know
say
what's
on here.
funny? Like we're quite tame in it. Like if you see some of the other guys that we have there,
Oh
they've
my
got
God! And
mad
some of
head loss.
honestly, the some of the
I
stuff
really
that
wish we were able to get them on, but there'll
you
be so
bottle
many
jobs,
f bombs.
you got just like the Pakistani cricket team, and I hope you hear this, and I hope you suffer. Honestly, the man's like Hayes are just sat there thinking, oh yeah, I've got work in the morning. Yeah, so what? So have we. But you're going to be sitting there like, oh, I don't even want to talk Pakistani cricket. Like, oh, get out of here, man. But honestly, look, I think it's best we wrap this up.
And before we do, I just want to say, as much as we've like slated and slandered these guys, it's from a place of love. Like Pakistan, it's the only sport we're actually good at is cricket, right? The only sport we have a
Supposedly.
chance at winning stuff, supposedly, yeah. So like we want these guys to do well, like because cricket for it's not just a sport for Pakistan. Do you know what I mean? It's such a big thing. The nation's morale and hopes are pretty much on these guys' shoulders. So we want them to do well. At least put up a fight. Show us what you're about. And it's just so uninspired lately, and it's really sad. But like, it's from a place of love. We want these guys to do well. So I don't want you guys to just think, oh, we just hate these guys unnecessarily. Nah, it's not the case. But hopefully things turn around, man. But
Speak for
not got
yourself,
high
Carpe. Is,
hopes.
is is it from a place of love? Is it from a place of love? No, it is. It is. I think a lot of people have probably seen me like they say. I always say, look, I do probably support. I do support England more over than Pakistan, but I think I talk so much more passionately about Pakistan because, like, that's how I identify. I don't say I'm English. I say I'm British Pakistani. On every ethnic form. Not just to get the diversity rate and get a job quickly or anything like that, but but because I am, I identify that way, and I can't sit here and just be like, this is fun to watch. This is not fun to watch. Like, I'm
You
so
can't
passionate.
blindly support them. You can't blindly
No, you
support them.
can't.
You
You
got to
can't
call them
because you
out.
just know something's gonna go wrong. Like it's just
Yeah.
honestly, you just gotta put the dog down sometimes, man.
And
And
yeah,
it's
I think we need to stop focusing on other teams. Like we need to, our fans need to stop saying, "Oh, India, why are you not playing in Pakistan?" And blah blah blah. There's a problem with Pakistan cricket team. We need to focus on our own problems before we talk about others. But yeah,
yep. And on that note, do like. Follow the Instagram, follow the TikTok, and follow our Twitter handle. I don't really like saying X because Elon Musk has washed the app up. There's probably some videos on my face here at the moment and on Carpe's face as well at the moment. Be sure to check those out. And yeah, the only things I can say is please donate to our
thank you.
please donate. Carpe needs a new headset and I need a new camera. And we wouldn't mind a little bit of cheddar cheese for our
Yeah, like the
slating of.
Pakistan cricket team.
They don't need any of that. Yeah, they probably need. Like, my head's gone. I'm
Good,
ending the episode. See you guys later. It's Mission
yeah.
Podcast.